Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing today?
3 wins and, 4 games since Mcdavid went out?
Yep.
Pretty good. So I'm doing good. That is unexpected. That was a huge win today and a really hard-won victory from the Oilers. I think the scoring chances were 14-12 for grade A chances, if I'm not mistaken. And for Carolina, had the slight edge, but the Oilers really played well. They're a strong trapping team right now. They're playing very strong neutral zone defensive hockey, and it's looking good. It's working out.
Well, our colleague Kurt Levens noted in yesterday's game report that the Oilers are, I think he said 22 wins, 1 regulation loss, and 2 overtime losses when leading after the second period. So make it 23, 1 and 2. And of course, a lot of those are, you have a nice lead and you just hold it to the end, are pretty routine. You expect a winning record, but that's very good. And the Oilers with a 1-goal lead in the third. I, as a fan, am becoming more secure just kind of watching them, even though they did give up the tying goal today. They didn't get caved in the third period when you might think that they might run out of steam, but they really didn't.
Yeah, it was just such a strong checking performance. So this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast, and because it's a win, we're going to have 2 good things each. What's your first good thing?
Well, I got to go with Josh Archibald, who had, I thought, just a tremendous game today. Even without the 2 goals, he was very, very good. He was a key. He and Riley Chaisson were the keys on the penalty kill. They each played. The Oilers were shorthanded for 6 minutes, and each of Archibald and Chaisson played 4 minutes 36 seconds on the kill. And some of that, of course, was Carolina controlling the puck so they couldn't make any changes. But some of it was those 2 guys getting the puck down the ice and getting on it and keeping the play down at the good end of the ice for a while. And they've emerged really as a very strong penalty-killing duo. Well, Archibald, he drew the penalty that led to the 2-2 goal when he got involved with 2 different Hurricanes that went after him, and all 3 of them went to the penalty box, and all 3 of them got to watch the goal that resulted on the power play, but only one of them liked it. That would be Josh Archibald. And then he emerged from the penalty box. They put him right on the ice, and the very next shift he scored a really nice goal to make it 3-2, where he first of all made a good play to keep the puck in at the blue line. He defended the boards on the blue line, made a good play to pick the puck off, did a give and go with Tyler Benson, and walked in front and just roofed it top corner finished it like a sniper to put Oilers ahead 3-2, and that looked like it might be the winning goal for a good long time. Well, they didn't get it, the win, because Carolina tied it with 5 minutes left in the third. So in overtime, with no Mcdavid, my wife and I had this little battle before overtime. I said, well, who's going to be the 4th forward? They'll start with Leon and Kyler, and then they'll have Nuge and and maybe it'd be Bear and Nurse. And she said, well, I think Archibald. And I'm thinking, okay, he's as good a choice as any from the rest. Well, they wound up doing both of those things. Nuge's first shift was with Bear and Nurse, and then in the 4th minute of overtime, they put Archibald out there, and what does he do? I think it's his first shift overtime of the year, if not his career, and he scores the game winner with another excellent finish from right in front of the net. Same place he scored the other goal, but this time low stick side. He beat Reimer clean, and that was that. So his line dominated shot shares at even strength. He led the team in hits. He led the team in blocked shots. He led the team in shots on goal. Like, what's not to like? He was brilliant in this game.
Just been playing so well. That whole line has been playing well, and
getting more expensive by the week. Sorry.
Yeah, possibly, Bruce. Possibly it is. My good thing is Leon Draisaitl. What a fantastic game he had. He drains the first goal. Absolutely drains it. What a great shot he's got. Sets up Archibald in the winning goal, and gets Yamamoto. I don't. What's the Yamamoto play? I had some PVR problems, Bruce. So
Draisaitl shot the puck from the wing. It wasn't so much a pass; it was a shot that rattled off a guy and went to Yamamoto, and he hammered it, hit the post, hit Reimer in the back of the skate, and bounced in. It was, the Oilers got a little bit of puck luck on
oh
that,
yeah,
but
and
it was a
I'm
very good
recalling. Yeah,
shot by Yamamoto. Also, beat
yeah,
Reimer clean, just couldn't beat the post, and then they got the friendly bounce.
yeah.
Uh,
Our PVR got wiped out by a vacuum cleaner hitting a power bar incident at one point. So yeah,
that's
I got
not.
a little discombobulated watching the game. I saw all of it about it, except for about 3 minutes in the end, though. But Leon Draisaitl now, Bruce, he is running away with the scoring title. He's got 95 points in 59 games. The next guy is 82 points in 60 games, David
Whoa.
Pasternak. It's a huge, huge lead. And I
Unbelievable.
understand Elliot Friedman. I didn't hear him say this. I just read it. So apparently, Friedman said on that Draisaitl is either should be the favorite, or he's in the running for the MVP award. Did you hear what he said on Hockey Night in Canada?
One of those things. He certainly sang his praises and said that he was, certainly in the
Uh,
conversation, which was more than all those odds makers were saying a
yeah,
week ago. But the week that's followed, I mean, they've gone 4 games without Connor McDavid. Draisaitl has taken the reins as the team leader. There's no question. The Oilers won 3 of the 4 games. They scored 14 goals, and Leon's got 10 points of the 14 goals. Like, I don't know what more you want from a player than that. Maybe now that McDavid's not around, maybe some will clue in that it's not just because he happens to be playing not even on the same line, but on the same team as Connor McDavid. That maybe Leon is a pretty good player in his own right. Hello,
yeah.
media.
It
Hello.
was 2 weeks ago that I read the latest kind of thing about the Oilers being a one-man team or a two-man team, and I wrote a post at that time saying, like, you're not watching the Oilers this year if that's what you think. And you can go back and look at the post. I just sent out the link again because it's been clear for some time this is a really good hockey team. And Bruce, they have 70 points. Guess what? They're 2 points behind Colorado that has 72. They're 4 points behind St. Louis for the
Mm-hmm.
lead in the Western Conference right now, 74 points. So they're kind of, it's all close all the way through there.
Right.
But I mean, we've been looking down so long at like how they compare to Vancouver, Vegas, Calgary, Arizona, and all those teams. Like for the first time when I looked at the standings, it made sense to kind of look up at
Mm-hmm.
who's ahead of them, and we'll see. Like this is a solid team. As long as they get good goaltending, and they've had that on this road trip, they can win hockey games because they have defensemen. They've got some defensemen. They've got 7 defensemen who can play, including Chris Russell, who's been hurt. 7 defensemen who can play. They've got a really solid checking line, and now they've found magic with this new with the Leon Draisaitl trio, my corny nickname for them. Uh, just romping through the NHL right now. Like no one's stopping them, and Draisaitl is just playing. He's just so he cranked it up in overtime at one point, and he was just traveling so fast up the ice. He just rocketed up the ice. He's playing with such determination right now. It's thrilling to watch the player.
Yeah, yeah, he is a fun player to watch. There's no two ways about it. The breadth of his game is just astonishing. And some people do, and I mean, we do ourselves, focus on the mistakes and that he makes, which are part of the package at this point in time. But he does so many things well, and on deep defensive plays, batting pucks out of the air, intercepting pucks. Uh, Passing it off of both sides of his stick, one-time shots, protecting the puck in the corner, taking face-offs, which he did have a little struggle on the dot today. But there's just so many things that he can do, and killing penalties like in the third period when they were knuckling down, hanging on to a one-goal lead, he was out there helping to kill the penalties down the stretch. And he is the team's first choice at 3-on-5. Like just the he's got so much game, David, and still growing into it at 24 years of age. Like what's the upper ceiling here? I'm not sure we've seen it yet.
Yeah, when did Phil Esposito reach his prime? I mean, the
Oh
late
yeah,
20s, right?
maybe
Um,
mid 20s. Yeah.
Mid 20s. Yeah. What's your other good thing, Bruce?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to Tyler Benson, uh, local product um, from Edmonton Minor Hockey, Southside Athletic Club, I think it was. Anyway,
Yeah.
he's played. He had a kind of an iffy first two games, both in Edmonton. I'm sure he felt a lot of pressure in the games here. He didn't get a lot of ice time. And then he got sent back down, and then more injuries happened, and he was the first guy called up. And he got put in the lineup yesterday, and he responded with two really good games. I liked his game yesterday, and I liked his game even more today. And I liked his defensive positioning. I liked his compete and his ability to to win battles and make good smart passes in his own end of the ice. Like there's not a lot of panic in this player for an early rookie. And then of course a very nice give and go with Archibald to earn his first NHL point on a primary assist, which is his game. I mean, he's a passer first and foremost. So that's a real nice way to get on the scoreboard with a key play on an important goal in a win. So
Yeah.
welcome to the NHL, Tyler Benson. And boy, we've been waiting for you. And this weekend gave us a lot better taste of what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I've been saying like he's an elite, like he's a strong passer. Like he's got
Yeah.
NHL. That's his special skill. And I was kind of the first few games I was feeling a little sheepish. Anyone watching him who hasn't seen him play in the AHL would think like this guy, what does he bring? But he was out of sorts. He hardly got any ice time in those first two games. Yesterday's game he was good. Today he played his A game, and he was really smart with the puck, which
Hmm.
is what he is. And that pass to Archibald was a really fine pass. It was right zipping right on the tape. Just an excellent pass from Benson. He made them all game long. He was composed, and that's his game. He's just a smart player with the puck, who's good on the boards and is responsible defensively. And I love that line right now. That's a fantastic line. That checking line with Benson on it. So good for Tyler Benson stepping up like that. Bruce, my other good thing is Darnell Nurse's play in overtime. He's kind of his sprawling. He did get beat on the breakaway there by was it Netchas? Is that how you pronounce it?
I
Netchas? Is
believe so.
that who it
Net,
was? I think it
uh,
was.
who beat?
And who beat Nurse. He
Oh
he
yeah.
he had a partial breakaway there, but Nurse kind
Hmm.
of caught up to him, and
Hmm.
Netchas tried to pass the puck then, and Nurse just made a great sprawling overtime heroics move. And then the other overtime heroics was Mike Smith, of course, with that great save on Sebastian Aho. So,
Well,
yeah, just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
he,
And
he,
I'll just segue really quickly to my bad thing, Bruce, because the bad
okay.
thing happened on the same play. How is that not a penalty on Leon? That guy tripped. He took Leon Draisaitl's feet from under him. It's a key
Brutal.
moment in the game. Like that is a brutal call. It could have cost the Oilers a point. Could
Hmm.
theoretically cost you being in the playoffs. Now I know it's a bang
Hmm.
bang play, but that was a pretty obvious trip.
Uh-huh.
Took his feet right out from under him. Had his stick in there even, but really it was a trip with your foot. I mean,
Yeah, he just took him right down and out and got a two almost a 2-on-0 breakaway. Other than Leon tripped him back to at least take Svechnikov out of the play, but Aho walked in alone after that. And if he scores there, it was definitely endangered clipboard season because that would not have sat well if that had turned into the game-winning goal. Instead, Smith came up with at least one stop. I think the second one might have been off the post, but
it was off the
uh,
side of the net. Yeah,
it was yeah, outside the post. I mean, but it
yeah,
was Smith stood tall there. He also made a great save off of Teravainen about 10 seconds into overtime and had some good
yes.
moments. The Nurse play that you referenced earlier, he made not only did he slide to wipe out the pass, but at full stretch he hooked the puck, which was still loose and dangerous with
That's
two
right.
Carolina guys around. He hooked the puck away from both of them and into the possession of an Oiler. That was a real kind of hero, what I call a hero play from Nurse, and it worked out. I guess he's attended Chris Russell Hockey School, and he uh,
Well, they all
he
have,
got his
man.
snow angel right today.
I see some Chris Russell in Clefbaum's game and in Nurse's game. More in Clefbaum's game. I mean,
Mhm.
Clefbaum's just kind of he's upped his defensive intensity quite a bit, and I think we see it in the high numbers of shot blocks that he makes. But
Right.
Clefbaum has watched Russell carefully, I think, and is a much better defensive player than he was, I think, even last year or the year before. So yeah, Chris Russell's had a bit of an impact. Bruce, what is your baddie?
I'm going to, I guess, go for the two penalties the Oilers took in the third period, defending a 3-2 lead, both of them in the offensive zone. So, I mean, there are times for offensive zone, like some people hate all offensive zone penalties, and I don't mind, they're puck battles, and sometimes you have players that are real aggressive on the puck and they're going to just take their penalties here and there. But when you're defending a lead, unless it's a zone turnover that looks like it's going to be a jailbreak the other way, you got to mind your P's and Q's a little bit, and especially when the Carolina fans are going, "Ref, you suck," and the refs have got the rabbit ears on, and they're going to look for any opportunity they get. And Kara, I think he was a little unlucky. Like I think that was more of a clumsy penalty than a dumb one. Like he just lost his balance and he wiped the guy out, and the ref called it. And they killed that off. And then Colby Cave, I don't know what he was thinking, just thrusting his stick into between the guy's legs, like 160 feet from his own net. You just can't do that. And I mean, the penalty killers had both of their backs, killed both penalties off, but the penalties themselves led to the stress and they played their part in the third period that saw Carolina outshoot Edmonton 10-3 and largely possess the puck in Edmonton's end of the ice and getting put on the defensive for 2 minutes at a stretch twice didn't help that cause.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Let's go to, why don't I start with my number?
Okay.
My number is 151. And that's the time on ice, Leon Draisaitl's last shift in overtime. He was out, his first shift in overtime was 111, which was kind of a normal length shift, but 151. He was stretching it and he was kind of dogging it, Bruce. And he was kind of sloughing off. Okay, you take that guy. The fast guy in the defensive zone is like, the fast guy, you take him. I'll take this guy who's standing still. And as soon as that guy started to move, it's like, okay, I'll take the other slow guy and you take the guy who's starting to move here. So Leon was kind of looking like he was bogged down with fatigue, and he definitely was. But he sure did crank it up, Bruce. What an amazing play that was. He just cranked it up, and he had been conserving his energy for about 20, 30 seconds there. And he found enough in him to rush that puck down the ice and set up Archibald. So another one of those shifts where if he had been scored on would probably have been my bad thing. If I'm completely honest.
Well, he got tripped. So that was your bad thing. I mean, that was part of that shift, right?
It just was this endless shift. Just kept going on and on and on. And he found a way to conserve some energy and make that great play. So, wow. That was a Phil Esposito shift if there ever was one. Back then the 2-minute shift it was fairly common, I think. And we've already talked about this, how in the 50s the 3-minute shift was kind of the norm. So
Esposito used to do that too, or even Esposito took very long shifts.
Definitely, yeah.
But I didn't mind his switch off with Klefbom. I thought that was good communication where the guy cut across the middle and Klefbom had, and Leon just left Oscar to switch with the guy who was doing the crossover, and he just stayed with his man. The other thing that I did like from Leon in overtime was the first shift was, and this is not necessarily his forte, a very good line change after 1 minute and 10 seconds when he had the puck and he was under pressure, and instead of doing the backhand pass across the ice into open ice, he made a smart back pass to, I think it might have been Yamamoto, I'm not sure. Anyway, teammate outside the blue line, meaning no scoring chance, but maintained possession while Leon got off and Nuge came on. And, that's what you want to see. You don't necessarily have to go for it all on every shift.
Yeah, Leon didn't want to come off the ice on that second shift at all, because there was a moment where he had a chance, I think. He wanted to decide the game, though. And that's what great players want, right? And he did. So that's what could make him MVP of the NHL. And he's got to be, I mean, this has been, of course, no one wants to see Connor McDavid get hurt. But in terms of Draisaitl's reputation and kind of putting to rest this really tedious at this point, for this team at least, this one-man team
Yeah.
narrative that a lot of people have going on. Like,
Yeah.
there was a one-man team right there, and it wasn't Connor McDavid, as fine a hockey player as he is. Bruce, what is your number?
Gino Malkin says hi.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly the same deal. Yeah.
Yeah. My number is 6-0-0, which is the Edmonton Oilers record in back-to-back games this year in the second game of the back-to-back, which is often considered to be a schedule loss. They have won all six of their back-to-back nightcaps this year. Five of those games being on the road, which they typically are. Usually back-to-back games are both road games with travel in between, as was the case here. And this particular one was especially epic because they played four games in 6 days with moving out in four different cities with start times moving up. Like the four games were in under 120 hours, so technically under 5 days to play the four games. And to have the kind of juice that they did, and the determination and willpower that they did to come out of a tough barn in Carolina with 2 points, hats off. The other surprising number is 5-0-0, which is their record in road matinees this year. They've
I
won
was going to
every
just
one of
ask
them.
you about that.
5-0-0, 18-4, 7 against.
This is a different Oilers team, Bruce.
I'll say.
All right, should
What's
they
this?
jack it up for the?
Success in matinees?
Should they
How'd
go
that happen?
all in on the trade deadline? Should they try to get in? They do have that extra player on defense. They got 7D. They could trade one of them.
Well, if all seven were healthy, they'd be better positioned to do that. They have, I mean, their big trading chip, of course, is Puljujärvi, who, if
Not that
depending on
big.
who they're trading with, some team that doesn't need him before the deadline because they're out of it, that might say, well, that's a pretty good prospect. We can get it. Anyway, there was two trades today, and neither of them involved the Oilers. They both involved New Jersey Devils, who moved Andy Green and Blake Coleman to contenders.
Well, where'd
So
Andy Green go? I've been busy all day,
he
so
went to where did he go? He went to Islanders,
yeah.
and Coleman went to Tampa.
Coleman went to
Yeah,
Tampa.
yeah, for Adam Foote's kid, Nolan Foote, and a first round pick. So that was a high price to pay for Blake Coleman.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Because Nolan Foot is it the
he's a pretty
defenseman?
good. Yeah,
Is
he's
he
a
the
pretty
forward
good.
of he's got two kids, a forward and a D
Yeah,
man.
I just remember him being a Team Canada player, and
What's his name?
so
Nolan? Let me just
Nolan
Google it
Foote,
here.
yeah, a pretty decent prospect, near as I can recall. So for him and a first rounder for Blake Coleman, that's a pretty good return for New Jersey.
So
So
yeah, Nolan Foot he's a left wing, 6'4",
hmm
200 pounds, first overall pick, 27th overall in 2019.
hmm
And so he's just 1 year past that. He's only played 26 games this year, 33 points. He must be injured or was injured at some point. I'm not sure.
right,
So yeah, they essentially gave up two lowish first round draft
right.
picks. And I don't think Foot's trended down in terms of his values. I don't know about this injury,
Uh,
yeah, that's a
yeah,
lot.
and
Wow, that's a
Tampa, it'll be a low first rounder this year as well, of course, because Tampa's going to be first or second in the overall standings but when it's all said and done. But so they paid a dear price to
for
add a
Blake
productive,
Coleman.
cheap forward, $1.8 million multiple time 20 goal scorer. I mean these scoring forwards are not coming cheap. So before you go off the head and criticize Ken Holland for not getting Blake Coleman, consider that cost. Right? That would be like Edmonton giving up. Well,
Well, it's like Samorukov in their first,
and the
right?
first. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I
that's
think
not too far.
Samorukov is a pretty,
Yeah,
based on his play in the Memorial Cup last year. I mean, he was a third pick, but he trended up to having the value of a low first round pick, I would
right.
suggest. So that would be a pretty dear price to pay.
Hmm.
So you're obviously gunning for the cup, for sure. But listen,
Tampa, I guess they are.
yeah, well, but what about the Oilers? They got Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl in their prime. They got Clefbaum in his prime, Darnell Nurse, Ethan Bear. If they got two good goalies, if their goalies are playing well, they got lots of foot soldiers, Bruce. This is a team that could get through the Western Conference at this point. And fortunately, I'm going to England in late May.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yikes.
questionable planning by you.
We planned the trip in a couple months ago.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's my
During hockey
excuse.
season.
Stick to it.
Yeah, I know we're all used to Oilers season being over on April the 6th,
Yeah, I know.
right?
I've been worried the last month about this, and it's looking more and more like a realistic
Okay, well,
possibility.
all right.
Such is
Well,
life.
let's see what happens. It's nice that we're talking and even thinking about the not just the playoffs, but the possibility that the Oilers might
Playing in
have a
late May.
decent enough team to go through a couple of rounds. And
Yeah.
let's see. But the team is giving us lots of reason for optimism playing through such a tough stretch. And today, Edmonton Oilers didn't have a single skater who was 30 years old, right?
Well,
Because
maybe that's why they can win
Sam
those.
Gagne sat out, and of course Neil and Russell are injured, and so their veteran skater today was Alex Chaisson, born in 1990. Like, they didn't have a single guy other than the rested Mike Smith, who was an older veteran trying to play two in a row. So that probably helped the energy level a little bit.
Well, maybe that's why they can win back-to-back games this year. There's a
Mhm.
possibility. I don't know if anyone studied that age of lineup and winning back-to-back games, but yeah, and the young players today, I don't think they're quite like the party animals that young people used to be back in the 1980s. And I suspect that the players are really monitoring their sleep and eating well and doing all these things and are good to go. Maybe who knows? But that thought crossed my mind that this is a young team, and maybe that's related to their success in this pretty impressive record in back-to-back games. Amazing, and
Also,
they got three more coming up, I think,
I think there's
before the end.
two left. I think there's eight
There's
this
two.
year. Yeah.
Okay.
So they've won the first six. So unreal.
All right.
Like, that's a great feat for any team.
All righty. So next game is McDavid. Last podcast, Bruce, I was making my crazy prediction that
I remember
I had
that.
a premonition McDavid might come back sooner than later, and we might get some good news on that. Mainly because we hadn't had any bad news, and he's young and he's healthy, and it didn't sound as horrible. So we'll see. Maybe he'll. I don't know if he'll be back for Wednesday night's game against who's that? Wednesday,
Boston. Home
Boston,
game
but
against Boston. It's a tough one.
and then they have a game Friday against some. They play Friday.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see him Friday. Fingers crossed. I mean, that would be about 2 weeks, right, from the time he got injured, if it's Friday.
Yeah, he got hurt on a Saturday night game
Yeah,
against Nashville.
yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I guess TSN Edmonton Bureau Chief Ryan Rashog was
Good
tipping
work
off
by.
the fact that he might be back sooner than later, which is music to all of our ears.
Yeah, well, he wants to get back and join this great team.
While he's been out, the Oilers scored 14 goals, and Leon Draisaitl has 10 points. So he left the team in good hands, at least for the short-term situation. But you don't want that term to stretch any further than it has to.
MVP, MVP. Well, McDavid wants to come back and wrest that scoring title, so he's got lots of motivation now
He's got a lot of work to do now.
He sure does.
Holy crap.
Bruce, let's leave it there. Thanks
Okay,
for talking tonight.
back to the grades I go. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.